Arjobot from Sanjavasi. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 12th of March, 2026. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Sunday the 22nd, Georgia bid farewell to Patriarch Elene II at Sioni Cathedral in Old Town in Tbilisi. Church officials confirmed the Patriarch personally chose this smaller church for his final resting place years ago. The burial concluded 5 days of national mourning. Leaders of the ruling party attended the ceremony at the Holy Trinity Cathedral. Party founder Bidzina Ivanishvili, who financed the construction of the cathedral, which is Georgia's largest church, addressed the nation. He described Elene II as a symbol of spiritual unity who restored the Georgian church. Following the speech, military escort moved the coffin to Sioni for a private burial beside the altar, while hundreds of thousands of mourners lined a 2-kilometer corridor to watch the funeral procession move through the city. Related news on Sunday the 22nd, 2 anonymous bomb threats disrupted the funeral ceremonies for Patriarch Elene II around 2:30 p.m. As the funeral procession prepared to move, a caller told the police he had planted explosives at Holy Trinity Cathedral. He demanded an immediate evacuation, threatening an explosion within 20 minutes. At the time, thousands of people remained at the cathedral, including foreign dignitaries and top government officials. Even though the caller used voice-altering software and a virtual foreign number via VPN to hide his identity, investigators tracked him down that same evening. State Security Service identified the suspect as a minor and seized several phones and laptops from his home. Next up, Tuesday the 24th, a Tbilisi court sentenced opposition politician Elene Koshtaria to 18 months in prison for writing Russian Dream with a marker on a campaign banner of Tbilisi Mayor Kakhikaladze. Koshtaria did this in September to show solidarity with a young activist arrested for a similar act. Throughout her months in pretrial detention, she has refused to attend hearings or recognize the court's authority. She's also forbidden anyone from paying her bail, stating that she would not give any legitimacy to the current regime. 2 weeks ago, the European Parliament passed a resolution officially recognizing her as a political prisoner and demanding her immediate release. In similar news, on the same day, Aliko Elisashvili, prominent member of the Lelo party who is currently in pretrial detention on terrorism charges, released a statement refusing to be included in any negotiations for the release of political prisoners. In a letter shared on social media, he requested that Georgian and international organizations officially exclude his name from such lists in order to prioritize freeing other wrongfully imprisoned people. Elisashvili said the ruling party is using his terrorist label to stall the broader release process by debating his specific case. He says his November attempt to burn down the Tbilisi city court was a symbolic protest against a violent regime. By removing himself from the negotiations, he wants to prevent the ruling party from using his actions to delegitimize the status of other political prisoners. On Thursday, the 19th, Freedom House released its 2025 report, which scores individual countries on a 100-point scale based on political rights and civil liberties. Georgia's score dropped by 4 points to 51, the sharpest decline in all of Eurasia, leaving it in the partly free category. For the first time, Georgia now ranks below neighboring Armenia, which holds a score of 54. On Wednesday, the 18th, U.S. State Department added Georgia to its expanded visa bond pilot program to curb high rates of illegal overstays. Starting on April the 2nd, Georgians applying for business or tourist visas must pay a refundable cash deposit if a consul identifies them as a high-risk traveler. These individuals' bonds range from $5,000 to $15,000 US dollars, depending on the specific case. U.S. government returns the full amount only after the visitor leaves the country within their authorized time frame. Speaking of the U.S., on Wednesday the 25th, the U.S. First Lady Melania Trump hosted the inaugural Fostering the Future Together Summit in Washington, D.C. The event gathered first spouses from 45 nations to discuss child welfare and AI in education. Tamar Bagration, wife of the Kotsevi president, Misha Kavelashvili, also attended, went viral for all the wrong reasons. On her 30-second speech, quickly spread on Georgian social media, causing some ridicule, criticism, and confusion due to how much Bagration struggled to deliver a very few sentences in English. Many were surprised she chose to present in English when she could have just spoken Georgian and used a translator. Link to the video in the show notes. Monday the 23rd, the drama at the Vaso Abashidze State New Theater took a petty turn. A few weeks ago, we covered the news about several actors resigning to protest management taking down a solidarity banner for their colleague, Andro Chichinadze, who was jailed for participating in pro-European protests. Now the theater is ordering two famous actors, Nanka Kaltozashvili and Eka Demetradze, to return part of their February salary. Because the theater pays for the full month in advance, management claims the actors owe back money for the 5 days they didn't work after resigning. Actors have until March 31st to pay back 240 lari, which is about $90 US. On Wednesday, the 25th, Israel's National Security Council raised a travel warning for Georgia and Azerbaijan to level 3, which translates to a moderate threat. This official advisory urges Israeli citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to these countries. Officials cite a high risk of Iran-backed terrorism targeting Israelis and Jews during the upcoming Passover holiday. Council recommends that travelers currently in these regions avoid large gatherings and hide any Israeli identifiers. Monday the 23rd, Forbes Georgia released its first ever list of the country's 100 wealthiest entrepreneurs who control over $22 billion. This represents nearly 60% of national economy, with the top 5 individuals holding half of that wealth. Interestingly, Mikhail Lomtadze leads the list with $6 billion from his Kazakh-based fintech, or allegedly fintech giant, Kaspi. He's followed by Bidzina Ivanishvili with $2.5 billion and Georgi Jokhtaberidze, founder of Georgia's largest mobile operator, Magdicom, with over $1 billion. To measure net worth, Forbes used only information they could verify, hence the relatively low number for Bidzina, considering that all of his is tied up in so much hidden Russian assets. So these numbers are all less than what we usually hear associated with those names. Commenting on the list, experts describe the economy as stagnant because wealth remains locked in traditional sectors like finance and real estate. Only 3% of the list is under age 40, showing a lack of new self-made wealth or innovation. Political ties also remain deep. 12 people have overt links to the government, including current parliament members. Women make up just 12% of the list. On Tuesday, the 24th, Euronews published a study from the HR company MorePay showing that Georgia's state pension is the lowest among 39 European countries. The data confirms that the average Georgian pension covers only 22% of a single person's basic monthly costs, such as food, utilities, and transport. In that does not include rent, meaning the payment fails to meet even a quarter of a pensioner's essential daily needs. Even compared to other struggling nations in the region like Moldova at 42% or Ukraine at 29%, Georgia's coverage remains the worst and lowest. OC Media published an investigation into the rise of sexual extortion in Georgia. Report reveals that criminal cases for these crimes nearly doubled since 2020. Though many victims stay silent due to social stigma. It tells a harrowing story of a teenager targeted by an older man, shows how attackers used private photos to blackmail activists and citizens. Article highlights major gaps in the law, such as the lack of protection for children, the failure to address AI-generated fake images. This investigation shows the digital threats facing Georgians today and gives clear steps for victims to get help. Link to the full English article is in the show notes. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Anything to tell us, let us know at info@rorschach.com. Nachmandis.